Hey guys, welcome to episode 6. It's a big number. Episode 6 of What Love Requires. This episode's gonna be a little different. We don't have a script. We don't have we don't have a set plot, like, topic. I think we've had a lot of friends recently. They'll ask us how's it going? How's married life? And we'll say...
And to clarify, that's been a question from everybody lately.
Yeah.
That's just like the thing we have been asked constantly, repeatedly, over and over again. Hi, how are you doing? How is married life? Oh, hey, it's been a while. How's married life? Oh, wow, you're looking like you're having a good day, but how's married life?
Which totally makes sense. We'd been married 3 months to the day, actually, of recording. It makes sense people are going to ask us.
Yes.
I don't think either of us have a problem that people are asking us.
It's nice.
About more specific things in our life. It's cool. Our answer has very often been...
It's wonderful.
It's good.
It's hard.
Yeah. That's the part that gets a lot of people, is that we'll say it's hard, and
they're like, oh no, why is it hard? Oh my goodness, are you okay? Do you need help? Can I pray for you? Oh. There's just this freak out.
But before we can... What has gotten into you today?
I'm overtired and thrilled about this conversation. Oh dear.
Okay, so...
But yes, no, as soon as we say that it's hard, people are absolutely taken aback. I actually had a friend message me because I posted a little thing for our one month anniversary, and I had said in it that it's been my favorite month of ours so far, but by no means our easiest. And so I did have a friend actually message me and say, "What do you mean not your easiest?" Probably thinking, they're in the honeymoon phase. They just got married. Like this should be easy. This should be good. But I think we can talk about this as we get going. Yeah. But we have chosen to dive into some really hard and difficult and good stuff really early on. Yeah. And so I think that is partially where this hard comes from, is that we haven't just let ourselves coast on the high of being newlyweds.
No, and I was talking to one of my friends and I said, we're not ignoring the little things that are going to grow into big things. We're nipping them in the butt now, which makes it seem like we're not doing as well now because we're nipping these little things in the butt, like me making lunch when she's working, going to be home for lunch, or me making supper, just little things like that. But over time, you go 6 months now of you're upset that I'm not doing that for you, and you're frustrated that I'm not doing that, and now it turns into a bigger issue.
Yeah.
Something else I've also been thinking is, it's okay to clarify, it has been awesome for those of you guys who are watching.
We love being married.
Yes,
we really love being married, and we're very much in love, and probably, yes, by all means, still in the honeymoon phase. But we love being married. And
if you guys have been watching this, you can probably see that we still love it.
We still have the glow, hopefully. That's what I've been told, anyways.
I'll just edit in the glow.
It might be the highlighter, I don't know. I'm not wearing any highlighter.
But we're not being naive enough to think that everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, just by posting and not actually talking about stuff. And it's a topic of conversation that comes up a lot surrounding marriage, just that communication's the biggest thing, and you hear that over and over again. Communication, that saved my marriage. Communication, the most important. But actually learning what communication looks like, and good communication versus bad communication versus great communication. There's, I think, a lot that we didn't realize that we had to learn. We've always loved and been good at talking about stuff, or realizing that there's something we should talk about,
And when we did our premarital test, I think it was the thing we actually scored highest on was communication.
Was our communication.
What our mentor, the couple walking us through that, in their infinite wisdom, they told us, they're like, okay, this doesn't mean that you're going to be able to communicate really well. It just means you both have a high value for communication.
We both see the value and the need and the priority.
So we both, if something's wrong, we're not going to brush it under the table. We both value just tackling that right away and nipping it in the butt right away. So I think even by that, we were kind of predisposed to not have everything's perfect and wonderful,
kind of naive beginning to our marriage, because we see all of those little things, or if we don't, after a little while someone else will call us out on it, or we'll call each other out on it. And it's just a culture that we have created very early on. And I think as we are learning to communicate better,
we'll learn how to discuss and kind of break those down and kind of find the root and how to actually solve those better.
And then that will be part of what the culture of our marriage is, because it's already been that we want to talk about these things, but learning how to and executing that from the get-go, I think is going to be amazing. And then once we introduce kids into that whole mix, that's going to be really important. So this whole communication thing has been kind of like side A. Side B is we dove into that financial course like a couple weeks after we came home from our honeymoon. And if we're being completely honest with you, we fought really hard about money during our wedding planning. Yeah. It was a bone of contention.
It was not a good part of our wedding planning.
There was even one conversation that you and I had during our wedding planning where we weren't sure if we were going to continue. It was a pretty big conversation.
I don't remember that.
It took about half an hour for us to work through it, and it was fine. But I remember doubting a bunch of stuff, and it had come out of the fact that we were fighting about money, which was ridiculous. And that's another thing that a lot of married couples say is really hard in their marriage, is talking about finances. And so I think that we dove into that so early on in our marriage.
Yeah.
We don't know everything yet by any means, but we have this baseline of things that
we're on the same page.
Yeah, exactly.
We have the same idea. We know where we are financially. We know what our kind of how we're going to be spending our money, what we can and cannot spend our money on,
what our goals are.
Yeah, and so we have that kind of unity looking forward, which I think that's been the biggest. That's probably, if I was to say, that'd be the biggest reason why we haven't been fighting about it.
Because there's still things that I want to spend money on, and there's still areas in our budget where you will want to underspend just because you want to save. But because we have set out this budget and have our baseline, I know that I can't overspend because we've agreed on this budget, and you know that
I have to let her spend
within the budget.
When she comes home, having spent that money, I'm not allowed to get upset with her
if it's in the budget.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing because it's been able to help us both kind of level out.
Yeah. Well, we're both coming at it from the same side. You're not trying to fight for what you want. I'm not trying to fight for what I want. We're not like butting heads. We've come to an agreement, and we're just kind of moving on together.
Which I honestly thought would either take a very long time to happen in our marriage or just would never happen. And I just want to actually say thank you to our friends who gave us the gift of their financial course. They run it, but they gifted it to us as a wedding gift. We didn't have to pay for it or anything.
The cost and everything for it. Yeah.
So that was an amazing gift.
That has probably been, if I was to say, I think that is probably the most valuable gift that we've gotten from our wedding. Because of the tools it's given us, because it's brought us to be able to be on the same side of. And I think what the number one cause of divorce, I think, is money.
Yeah, money and communication and sex.
That or sex.
Yeah.
Money and sex.
Those are the two things.
Are the two things. And so we have a long way to go with sex.
And we will do an episode on that.
Yeah.
Later on, for sure.
When we feel comfortable talking about that.
We will, though. I do believe it's very important. But just learning.
Well, because even then we've learned a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But-
Get ready.
But the financial thing, that's one of the one of the top 2 reasons people get divorced, and we had the blessing of being able to
kind of get on the same page
Yeah.
at the beginning of our marriage.
get a solid foundation under us easily. So that's
And there's still going to be, I believe, still going to be a bit of stress
totally.
when it comes to, well, we're not making enough, or, oh, do we need to adjust the budget, or things like that. But just realizing that we can come to agreement on the budget and that sort of a thing, and that helps to balance us out through all of our emotional wanting to spend and not spend throughout the rest of the time. Even a practical example of that was just how we decided to spend money on Christmas this year. I would love to spend all of our money to love people, because one of my biggest love languages and the way that I love to love on people is to give gifts.
We should do an episode on love languages.
That's another.
I think that'd be.
You guys are giving me so many great ideas. Thank you for this verbal processing. This is great.
That's another one we can do on like processing people.
But yes, so I wanted to spend all this money on Christmas, and Jordan is very practically thinking, we have no money to spend on Christmas. We'll give you a card if we can afford to buy
give you
a card.
A nice crisp high 5. If I really like you, I'll give you a hug.
Do I get a hug?
No.
Okay.
You can have a high 10 though.
Oh, sweet. Yes. But yes, so we were able to actually have a conversation and figure out what we were going to spend on Christmas. And I remember actually after that conversation looking at Jordan and just thinking, oh, we had a successful conversation about money, and we didn't fight. It was just this beautiful moment of realizing that we had learned something and were able to put it into practice. So I think partially what we wanted to kind of say in this episode, though, is to our married friends, thank you so much for affirming that what we have been doing and taking this time for ourselves and being a little secluded is normal. Thank you for just being part of that and understanding that we're okay, we're doing great, and actually the fact that we want to spend all this time together is normal. And thank you for telling us that it's normal, because that has been very encouraging and helpful, and so we appreciate you for that. And then to our unmarried friends, to our friends who are just about to walk into marriage, and our single friends, thank you for being concerned about us. We really do love you and appreciate every single one of you that has been asking about us and wanting to help and make sure that we're okay. But
no, it's been really cool to have support on both sides, and it's interesting. Like the married side, they've been very understanding of kind of what we're doing and it not being all okay, because they've been through it. Especially some of the younger married couples. I think they've been. That's also who a lot of our friends are. So they kind of they're more fresh into that, and they kind of understand that more. So they've been very supportive and very encouraging for us. And then it's nice seeing that people care, and they're like, Are you okay? Like we want to make sure you're okay, and if you're not, I want to talk about it and help you. And so it's been awesome. But
Absolutely.
we are okay.
We're okay.
We are loving marriage. We have no plans to get divorced.
We love each other very much, and this time of what might look like isolation to you has actually been a time of very intentional building into our marriage and figuring out how to run a household, how to be married, how to do this thing cohesively in the middle of everything else. And quite frankly, we just really like spending our time together.
We do.
We still love all of you very much, but the fact that we actually get to spend this time together and I don't have to drive home at the end of the night has been really wonderful. So we might get a little tighter of each other as time goes on, but...
Okay, so not gonna lie, last night she was... So you were going to be staying at your parents' last night. There was the idea that came out, and I was like, oh, I get the bed to myself. I was telling all my friends, I was like, I get the bed to myself tonight. I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome. And then she came home. And I didn't get the bed to myself. I was a little disappointed. I was going to be able to sprawl out on the bed.
Like you do anyway, but you wouldn't be hitting me in the face or the chest.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been there to complain about me doing what I do.
Oh dear.
That's still probably been the hardest part about marriage. Is sleeping.
The sleeping, yes. Yeah.
And then it's also funny because there's the opposite end of you it's not all great. Are you okay? And then there's the oh, it's good, it's awesome, we're loving it. It's hard. It's like, oh, just wait until year 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh, just you wait. Okay, thanks. Why? 3 months ago, you were congratulating us for getting married.
You're gonna love being married.
We're so happy for you. We're so excited.
It's gonna be the best time of your life. You're gonna love it so much. Married life is the best. And then
just you wait, honey. It's gonna be horrible. It's about to get real hard.
Wait till your first anniversary. Wait till year 2. Wait till you have kids. Wait till you have 2 kids. Wait till you all of these things.
Most of our friends out in Southern, I will say that.
But legitimately, that's the thing people keep telling us. It's gonna basically if you
wait.
If you compact it into one little statement, marriage is gonna suck. And
again, they don't say it in a Southern accent.
I don't know where that's coming from. I know Southern, and I'm sorry. If you're Southern, I'm very sorry. But that is what people have been saying. Is just you wait. It's gonna get hard. It's gonna be horrible. Rather than being excited for us where we're at, celebrating with us that it's been fun and
you've been married 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Why are you telling me it's gonna suck? And this is just kind of as I'm processing, like, either there's kind of just a big issue where marriages aren't doing great, that people are predisposed to think that every marriage is just gonna get really hard and really crappy. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know what the or was.
Well, I think even if that's something that is continually said, then it's going to be repeated by other people and then simply believed.
And once it becomes belief, then it becomes...
You will just naturally kind of act on it without meaning to. And so I just...
Or year 2, we have like a really big fight and we have like a month where it just sucks and we're like, oh, this is normal. This is how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
No, I don't think it's supposed to be like that.
I think marriage is obviously not going to be easy because it's a relationship with 2 human beings. Yeah. But I also don't want to accept the fact that it has to be hard and horrible.
No, well, okay, for me, I accept that it's going to be hard. Mm-hmm. And there's the saying that nothing worth doing is easy. Mm-hmm. Anything worth doing is going to be hard. And so I think marriage is probably one of the things that's most worth doing.
Absolutely. And it has been hard already.
Yeah, and so it's going to be hard.
But it's a good hard, and it's hard to explain that to somebody who hasn't gone through it, but it's a good hard because we know that the work we're putting in, which has been the hard part, is that work is yielding beautiful results. It's yielding change and growth, and we are becoming better people and we're growing closer together through all of that. It's not hard because we're fighting and not resolving anything. It's not hard because we regret getting married or we hate each other so much or that we smell horrible all the time and it's just this horrible thing that we can't deal with.
You could maybe share our phones.
Uh-huh.
What?
But I think
so I'm reading Love and Respect right now. Mm-hmm. Really good book. After you read it, we'll probably talk about it. There's
P.S. Wives or girls in a relationship, he has changed since reading this book. I cannot wait to read it because literally there has been change and growth and almost a whole new loving romantic side of this man right here. So get them to read the book, and I'm excited to read it as well.
Well, yeah, and there's a flip side to that too. Of you've responded to me doing that in a really cool way. But so he talks about how there's going to be conflict in relationships, and he said that's kind of the spark. That's what creates the spark is the conflict of, you take 2 rocks and you strike them together. It's going to create a spark. and it's how you handle that spark. Are you going to kind of care for that spark and watch that spark and turn it into a nice warm fire that you can kind of sit around and get cozy around? Or are you going to let it turn into a wildfire that burns down a forest? And so it's not that conflict it's bad. It's just you got to be smart with how you handle it. And
absolutely. Well, we even had a moment the other day. We had a miscommunication on the way to your mom's house about what time we were going to leave.
Oh yeah.
And
it was something really.
It was so silly. He had sent something on the phone to his mom and thought that I had heard what he said, and I had heard him say, "Oh, we don't need to be there exactly on time," and we never clarified. And so by the time we were ready to leave,
it was the time that I agreed with my mom that we would be there. And for me, I've been taught on time is late, or like on time is 5 minutes early. That's how I grew up. That's how I like to
absolutely
be. So,
and my family's always been like, leave at the last possible second, drive a little bit fast, and get there exactly on time. And we always get there, like even at church today, we got there exactly on time. So even that little bit of our history and whatnot, and then the miscommunication of when we were supposed to leave and all of that, the entire drive to your mom's house was not great. And in the past, we would have just walked into your mom's house, been a little bit annoyed and pissy with each other for the first half an hour that we were there. But we chose to address it in the car before we walked in. And I just called that out and simply said, hey, so let's just call a spade a spade. We had major miscommunication back there. Nobody communicated a thing.
Well,
and
we both she assumed that we were just going to be there later. And I assumed that she had heard me telling my mom, okay, we'll be there at 10:15. And you heard, okay, we don't have to be there at 10. And that was and
it's funny because even as you hear us talk about it, like clearly it turned into this like big thing for a second there, but because we were able to nip it in the bud as soon as we walked into his mom's house, it was actually it was just fine. Like we were fine completely with each other after we addressed it.
Well, it's very different than other times when that's happened, and we've been like upset with each other for the rest of the day if
absolutely
we're late.
or longer. So I think the fact that we were able to talk about that basically right after it happened was awesome.
That was that's a big learn for us. That's not something that isn't something we've ever done before in our entire relationship.
No. So yeah.
And I think that was the first time too that you were the one to bring something up. Like a lot of the time my mom drilled into me since I was a little kid. Well, not little kid, but since
you're able to understand it.
Yeah. We'll get into like our family histories another time. But my mom, she's drilled into me, communicate, talk about what you're feeling, talk about this. Don't let stuff just fester and go unresolved. And so I've brought stuff up a little bit more than she has.
Just out of the nature of what you've grown up with. And
so it was even really cool that she was the one to bring it up.
Yeah.
So.
But all that to say, like, that is some of the hard stuff that we've been working through, is just learning how to communicate and create a culture in our marriage and in our, like, we are a family. It's just the two of us right now, but
we are
a family. So learning to create the culture that we want to have in our relationship and in our home and all of these things. It's drawing a lot of baselines. It's making a lot of significant choices right now. And so...
And they're not all easy.
No. There's some that have been fun and easy, like, what
date night on Fridays. That's been fun.
Or what are we gonna put on the shelf to make it look nice? Like, there's little decisions.
That's key. You put something up on the shelf and make it look nice. I want the bottom shelf for my school stuff and my office. That's actually all the say that I've had in the entire house.
At least I show you when I'm done. Hey, look what I did. But there's been like little easy things like that, and then like we had said, there's the communication and the financial stuff we've gone through. And so we just want to thank you, like our friends who are listening to this or watching. Thank you for supporting us and for caring and for asking how we're doing, checking in with us, and just making sure that we know that you love us and support us, and that we really love you, and we are thankful for your presence in our lives. And to those of you who are just listening, you are about to get married, you're thinking about marriage, it's a dream way off in the future, or you have just gotten married or have been married for a long time, Thank you for listening to this, and we would love to hear your input or your thoughts, or just how this has been something worked out in your life, or something that maybe you have questions about and you're curious about.
We're by no means experts.
No, but we would just love to
and so
have a conversation.
And that's why I'm reading, because I'll read from somebody who spent years doing relationship counseling.
Yeah.
And I can pull things from that and recommend based on what they've kind of had. And you touched on culture too, and if you're young and you're getting married in the next 2 years, anything like that, you can, like, it's and you want to learn to do the culture, that's awesome. And hopefully at some point we figure out how we can help people learn to do that.
Absolutely. But for now, we would just love to have conversation with you. We'd love to hear where you're at, what you've been learning. We'd love to just be able to share with you from our limited knowledge and our limited experience. And
So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for listening. Hope your walk was warm. It's definitely not here.
Maybe you have a toque if you're Canadian. Hopefully you wore it.
Just don't send me a picture of you walking on a beach. I'll be a little very sad.
A little very.
If you're kind of on the commute to work, hopefully that's safe. Drive safe. Hopefully the guy on the bus doesn't smell too bad. I've been there. I've sat next to some people who could use a shower. Yeah, there's a lot of really nice people on the bus too. I've met some awesome people on the bus.
Sometimes you could use a shower.
There are both of us. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening and your support. That means
the world to us.
Yeah, and whether it's like a like on Instagram or heard that, it sounds awesome, or we had one of our friends this past week and they're like, I listened to every episode, I like every one of your photos, and she brought up something that we hadn't talked. It was date night, because we talked about it in a podcast episode. It was in one of my mini episodes. I talked about it in there. You hadn't talked to it, and then she talked to you about it. And so it's
shout out to Marina, our number one fan. Thank you.
So no, this has been really cool and really fun podcasting. It's cool the people that we've gotten to meet. So we'll see you guys next week.